Willoughby isn't just one neighborhood, and that's where a lot of families get confused. Where you live in Willoughby Langley affects your school catchment, your commute, and your day-to-day routine. If you're new to Langley or you just keep hearing the name Willoughby come up, you're not imagining it. Willoughby is one of the fastest growing areas in Langley, with new roads, new homes, and new schools being built to keep up. Today I'm starting a full series breaking down what it's actually like to live here in Willoughby. We'll talk about how the neighborhood is laid out, who tends to live here, and how the different pockets of Willoughby can feel very different depending on where you land. And then in my next video, we'll zoom in on the school system and I'll walk you through how the Willoughby schools are structured and what parents need to know. Willoughby sits in the Township of Langley, roughly between 200th Street and 216th Street, just south of Highway 1, and that location is a big reason it's grown so quickly. From most parts of Willoughby, you're about 5 to 10 minutes from Walnut Grove, around 10 minutes to Langley City, and roughly 20 to 35 minutes to Surrey or Coquitlam, depending on traffic. Day to day, you're close to Highway 1, commuter routes, and big box shopping, but once you're inside the neighborhoods, it feels much more residential with parks, schools, and townhomes woven throughout. Compared to Walnut Grove, which feels more established, Willoughby is still actively evolving. You'll see ongoing construction, new infrastructure, and new schools and parks being planned alongside population growth. One thing that makes Willoughby unique is that it's made up of several sub-neighborhoods, each guided by the official community plan, and each with its own feel. Here's how the main pockets break down. Carvold is the most urban and transit-oriented part of Willoughby. You have condos and townhomes clustered around the Carvold Park and Ride and Highway 1, which makes it really popular with commuters heading to Surrey, Burnaby, or Vancouver. Day to day, it feels like a small transit hub. Mid-rise buildings, bus exchanges, coffee shops, and quick access to 200th Street with fewer big yards, but lots of lock and leave convenience for young professionals and first-time buyers. Latimer is built to feel like a modern village. Around Latimer Heights and Latimer Village, you'll see mixed-use buildings with cafes and services at street level, plus a big mix of townhomes, condos, and new single-family homes. There are greenways, a central water feature, and trail connections over the Carvold and Yorkson, so you see lots of strollers, dogs, and young families walking rather than driving for every errand. Yorkson is one of the denser, more established Willoughby pockets. It's packed with 3-story townhomes, condos, and small lot detached houses, and it sits close to Willoughby Town Centre for groceries, fitness, and day-to-day services. Because there's so much family-oriented housing, the streets and parks skew very young. Playgrounds are full after school, there are lots of school-age kids walking or scootering, and many households are dual-income families who chose Yorkson for the mix of newer homes and walkable amenities. Rootley feels a bit more established and a bit closer to Langley City. Most of the housing went up in the early to mid-2000s, so you get slightly more mature trees, a settled suburban feel, and a mix of townhomes and detached homes on quieter streets. It still attracts young and middle-aged families, but compared to Carvold or Central Yorkson, it can feel calmer, with more people who've been in their homes for a longer stretch and slightly less construction day to day. And lastly, Williams, Smith, and Gordon Estate areas are where you really see future Willoughby being built in real time. There are new single-family streets, townhome projects, infill happening alongside park space, and can't forget the large new middle and secondary Smith campus that is under construction for 2027. The feel here is very up and coming. More construction and trades trucks, more early stage families buying into brand new product, and an expectation that schools, parks, and small-scale commercial will keep filling in over the next few years. This is usually where families say things like, "We're more like Yorkson people," or "Latimer really feels like us." And that's because lifestyle, housing type, and even price points shift from Carvold to Latimer to Yorkson, and even into the newer Smith and Williams area. But let's zoom out and talk about Willoughby as a whole. Willoughby is the fastest growing and most densely populated areas in the township. It skews young. You'll see a lot of adults in their 20s to 40s, lots of school-age kids, and fewer seniors than in some of the more established Langley neighborhoods. Most households are dual income, working in professional, sales, trades, or service jobs, and a big percentage live in townhomes or compact detached homes rather than large estate lots. lots. Willoughby tends to sit in that upper middle range for Langley. Many buyers are stretching a bit compared to older areas, but they're choosing newer home, newer infrastructure, and proximity to amenities and schools. You literally feel that in the rhythm of the neighborhood. Busy parks after school, strollers and dogs everywhere, and packed rec centers and sports fields in the evening. One last big reason why families choose Willoughby is schools. But this is where things work a little differently. Because Willoughby has grown so quickly, the school district uses a slightly different model, with earlier transitions, more age-specific schools, and new buildings and catchment changes tied to a large new Smith Middle and secondary campus opening in 2027. This is why two houses just a few blocks away can feed into different schools and may even see changes in the future. In my next video, I'll do a deep dive on the school side and talk about which schools serve Willoughby, the grade structure, the catchment boundaries, and some common questions parents ask when matching an address to the right school path. If you're trying to figure out if Willoughby is a good fit for your family in terms of lifestyle, commute, or neighborhood feel free to leave a comment or book a time with me using the link to my calendar. I also run a Facebook community group where I share school updates, catchment notices, real estate, and neighborhood info so you can stay on top of changes without having to track everything yourself. And if this content is helpful, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video where I'll be breaking down Willoughby schools and answering the big questions parents have. Let's explore Langley, where learning meets living.